Hello everyone and welcome to the Art of Teaching Art. Today I'm going to show you how to draw a rose. Now I've got a selection of rose images here. Some are a lot easier to draw, some are a little bit more difficult. So when we're thinking about choosing an image, the easiest way to draw a rose is from the side like this, because you're not having to get into the detail of all of these petals. The next easiest is from this type of angle, so directly from above. Even though there's a lot of detail here, it's easier to draw these shapes if you just kind of see them as curves. The most difficult type of image is something like this, which is slightly from the side, slightly from above. You've got slightly different angles to draw here. And although you've got a nice range of shadows and things, actually getting these angles right is going to be a lot more difficult. So today I'm going to start off with this image here, and I have got the images on an iPad, but you could have them on your phone, you could have them printed out. I just found it easier, rather than using a printer to print out the image, to just use one on my iPad. The pencils I'm going to be using today are these HB, 2B and 4B pencils, but you could just achieve the same amount of tones just with a HB pencil if you wanted to. I've got my image here, I've just edited it into black and white so it's a little bit easier for me to draw, and I'm going to be aiming for the top part of the image. So when we're approaching a drawing like this, what we want to do is choose a section to start with. So for me, that's often the top bit here, and then I work down and from it. According to what flower you're drawing, it might be that you start with the centre part. So starting with the top part here, I can see a triangular shape and a little corner coming in, a rectangular shape, and that's the top of the next petal. And then next to it, I've got another curved line coming up from above, comes straight along and then straight down to meet the line here with a little curve within it. Then on the other side, I've got, again, a curved line coming up but going down and then scooping back round to meet this line here, and then a line going down. So I've got my first section. So I've just taken it shape by shape to draw it out. At the back of this shape, that there's just a line going across. So again, comes across fairly straight, points up and then scoops down. So that's my first stage. I can then draw the top of this petal here. So I've already got this line coming in. So it scoops up just a little bit here and dips down and then scoops round. I'm thinking about how long this part is here. So what I can do is use proportion on my drawing. So I'm going to measure these two triangular parts here, and that's about the same as the length of this here. So again, I can measure my two triangular parts here and see how long that is, and then draw that line in and curve round. Then this line swoops down and round. Again, I think it's probably about the same length. Yeah. So then I've got these petals coming in here and these coming across here. So I can actually draw this petal in now. So it starts at the top here and comes round. So what I'm always doing is comparing parts of the drawing to other parts of the drawing, using proportion and shape. And then I've got this petal coming down here. Now, what we need to kind of work out is the length of the rose, okay? So this is where it's a little bit more of a challenge. So the bit that I've already drawn in is this petal here, the top of this here. So if I use that and see, it's definitely that width and a little bit more. So we definitely know it's that bit. So I can measure down with that. So that comes to here. So I can mark that with my finger. And then it's probably about this distance. So let's try that. And it comes down to here, okay? So the bottom of my flower is going to be coming in just there. So then I can draw this petal in here. So it curves down and inwards till it gets to nearly the bottom, and then it just clicks round and comes down, got the bit at the bottom there. And then on the other side, again, it curves in, and we want this gap here at the bottom to be the same as this part at the top. So we want it to come to about there as it comes down. So let's see, it swoops down. Just check that it's right. So this bit of petal comes in line with this, does it on my drawing? Not quite, I need to bring it in a little bit more. And then scoops down to meet the bottom where you've got this leaf coming here. So we've got those shapes, and then we can carry on and draw the other bit. So this petal's got this little bit coming down on it. So just a shallow curve, which meets just as it curves round here. And the same on this side, it's got a bit that loops round and then slowly kind of comes in. Now this has got some dents in the side, but I will leave those for the time being and add them on later on. And then we've got the rest of this side of the rose coming up here. So it starts at the top where you've drawn this petal in and comes down and round. Maybe a little bit more dramatic than that. And then we've got the leaves coming up. I'm just going to draw in those leaves. And then the other side of the rose as well. Then I can just add in the background petals. So again, comparing different shapes to draw the rest in. So I've got my initial sketch. I'm just going to clean it up a little bit just to remove some of the mistakes I made earlier, and then I will show you how to shade. Okay, so when it comes to shading, I'm going to start with the darker bits first. Now this is quite tricky because it's a red rose, so actually the contrast between the dark and the light areas is a lot less, so that means you need to do a little bit more work yourself as an artist to try and get that contrast, because what you don't want to do is shade the whole thing grey. So the darkest area I can see is this area here, and to me that pretty much looks completely black, and then it's a lot darker here. And then you've got other shadows coming in. So I'm going to start with the 4B pencil to add those areas first of all. I will use a scrap piece of paper to cover the image while I'm drawing across it. So when I'm shading with even pressure, trying to get it nice and smooth and even. I'm trying to shade mostly in one direction or in a circular motion, whichever kind of works best for what I'm drawing. And you're thinking about the shape of your object when you are adding in any detail. So you want the rose to look rounded where it's rounded. So just first of all, the darkest areas. I prefer to work like this. You might want to shade from top to bottom, but this just prevents me from swapping pencils. my initial layer is on. I'm now going to swap to the 2B pencil to add in the next layer. This is looking quite rough in terms of its texture, and this is going to help to kind of burnish and polish that and neaten it. And with this, I'm going to start kind of at this top area here and then work downwards. It's really important with this stage that we remember to keep the shapes that we see, like the lines of where the shadows are, and especially the highlights. The highlights are what is going to make it not look just completely grey. And there is my completed rose drawing. Thank you so much for watching and have a really great day.